Is it?
I see the white flash.
Oh, goodness. No, it's good.
All right, we're gonna go ahead and get started again. Culture sensitivity goal setting. All of us, most have experienced our own culture, and adults have developed their own individual identities, values with time and exploration. Working with and welcoming into our home youth with different cultures, ethnicities, and individual values can be challenging, especially when our values clash with those of our youth. It will require long-term exploration, acceptance, and patience with ourselves and our youth to adapt to these differences within our home. One way to continue on this important journey is to set goals for ourselves. And that's when we talk about setting long-term goals and short-term goals. Goal setting is a key tool for building towards any long-term goal, and the tool in your Foster Parent Manual can be used to set goals for yourself and to support your youth and to set their own goals. We will review goal setting again in the next session, but here are some of the key components of goal setting. Identify a positive stated specific goal. Identify steps to reach that goal. Our tools source the steps into strengthening what you already are good at and working at remedies for your weakness and preparation to achieve those goals. And check in on a regular basis to track your progress and make adjustments to those goals. Similar to, I'm quite sure everybody's in here has heard of a person-centered plan, a PCP. We have the long-term and the short-term goals. We go back, we look at those long-term goals, we make short-term goals, and then we review them every so often. You know, when we do that PCP, we think it's every 90 days or as needed. And that's what we're talking about here. Setting up those type of goals for yourself to make sure that you're working on those areas that you're strong at, and then those areas that you're weak in. The goal to achieve with your therapeutic foster family. All right. So what I want to do here is couple questions, and if you go to in your folder, there's a thing in there called goal setting. Everybody's there? The handout called goal setting. What I want you to do is, I want everybody to write down one goal that you would like to work on and following that goal, following that format that we have there. This one right here, goal setting. All right, write down that one goal.
A goal pertaining to your identity, your values, your culture, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Cultural differences. In relation to, I guess the youth that you're going to be working with. Yeah. I'm sorry, make one goal for yourself and then one goal for the youth you want to be working with. You do have 2 goals on there. You want to ask yourself, is this a specific goal? Can you identify steps to reach that goal? What kind of tools, what kind of steps are you going to need to help attain that goal.
And it may be something like researching on the internet or asking for help in the community.
Yeah, something you might already be good at or something you may need to work on. Is it a realistic goal?
Make sure you're basing this on culture, ethnic or individual identity. Learning more about the styling different types of hair is an example.
Yeah, it gotta be no big goal. It
Doesn't have to be a big goal. Something small.
Learning how to cook different types of food. How can you become more culturally sensitive?
What did you say, make one for you? and
Make one goal for yourself and make a goal for the youth you want to be working with. How can you best support that youth? I would like to support my youth better by learning different types of languages or learning different types of culture. I would like to learn more about high school youth. You ain't got to be nothing broad stream. Maybe you need to become more tech savvy so you can be able to relate to a child. We have some parents can't even, don't know how to check their emails.
All right, we can go ahead and get some feedback. Who wants to go first with theirs?
All right.
Okay,
All right, as far as the first one, I didn't do the second one yet.
okay.
I just said, my goal would be to just become more sensitive to cultural differences and for me to be willing to make the changes necessary in me.
Okay.
You know, and I think that's important because I think that, even as we've been talking about this today, you just really begin to evaluate, ideas that you have, preconceived notions and stuff.
Yeah,
And just know that, there's room for change,
yeah.
for growth.
Always.
Mhm.
All right. And what was some steps you kind of identified over there on the side? Let's start off with, I guess, your strengths. Ms. Clark. What-
I would say willingness to change is a
Okay,
strength.
all right. And your
Um,
activities to build those strengths would include things to, like you said, kind of being more open-minded.
mhm,
All right.
mhm.
Were you able to identify any kind of resources you can use to?
I just think that maybe things in the community, learning, from different people.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. So putting yourself out there to attend different activities within the community. maybe even befriending someone of a different culture than you, so you can feel comfortable enough with asking some questions, that kind of thing?
Exactly.
Alright, alright, and then what's some areas you can improve upon? How can you become more open-minded or willingness to be more cultural sensitive?
Well, really just, I guess, just getting out there and learning and meeting, like you said, new people, just putting yourself in different situations.
A big step is scheduling the time, scheduling time, okay? Alrighty. Very good. Did you list a second goal as well?
I didn't.
Alright, do you mind sharing that one too?
No, I said I didn't.
You
I didn't
did,
list the
okay,
second
I'm
one.
sorry.
Uh-huh.
Alright. Anybody else like to share?
I listed a goal about learning social media.
Okay.
You know, for the child, you know, because a lot of parents, including myself, I'm just not with it, you know, but kids have it. So you need to have some type of understanding, which my husband does, so I don't even have to, you know, so that's a goal for myself. So if anything going on social media, he's aware of it. But
Okay.
And that's a good one, because, you know, my granddaughters, I mean, I give them my iPhone and they can do things on my iPhone that I never, didn't even know was could exist. So you gotta be cognizant of these electronics and all these gadgets that these kids have nowadays. If not, they're gonna be on areas that they shouldn't be in. So that's a good one.
And I had an incident where, a placement that I had put something on Snapchat, and the agency was calling me, telling me to put it down, you like, take it off. And I'm like,
What is Snapchat?
I didn't know the first place to go.
Exactly.
And obviously, agency didn't realize it's gonna be gone in 24, they wanted it done before.
Right.
But I didn't know, so I'm like, well, how do I take it down?
You can't. You can't. Obviously, the agency didn't know that
You can't take it down.
So,
it goes away in 24,
oh, okay.
but you can't take
Within
it
that
down.
24, you can't do
You
anything
can't do
with it.
anything until, once it's gone, you can't, unless somebody has screenshot.
See, I learned something right there.
Then it tells you if they
And it tells
screenshotted
you
it.
if it's screenshot.
Wow, so, yeah, I need to learn social media.
Who wants to go next?
My goal was to begin to pick something of importance for the youth about their culture and incorporate it into our home.
Eudora Hunt?
My strengths, I felt like, you know, I'm open and I'm willing to help the child be comfortable in our
I'm sorry,
environment. I want them to
Eudora
feel a
Hunt
part
too.
of. And just as they're learning us, we want to learn them so that we
Eudora
can share.
Hunt from Atlanta.
Activities to build strength, communication, interactions, doing whatever is needed to incorporate whatever that favorite thing for them may be, whether it's the food, whether it's a game, whether it's, you know, something that they go out and do once a month, whatever that is, just to be open and sensitive to that. Where can I improve? I said that I can become more sensitive to a youth being comfortable and feeling a part of the family when they're coming in. I think we want them to be comfortable, we want them to, you know, feel safe in our home, but sometimes we don't think about all those other things that are coming with them as we should. So I want to be more sensitive to that. I think that's something that I can do a lot.
Good, good. All right. And you have a second one there?
Yes.
Okay.
The other was, well, as make it a family activity, but, to attend one cultural, not necessarily my culture or their culture, but to find activities within the community so that we can kind of enhance our diversity and understanding of others and make that a part of the household, and we all learn together.
Okay, good. All right, you have one. Give me one.
I put for my goal to be more open-minded. I catch myself sometimes, I guess you could say, kind of wrapped up in my own little world about like what I feel may be the right thing to do, but really there may be another way about it. Just kind of being more open-minded instead of being, this is how it's gonna be, this is the way it's gonna go, you either like it or you don't like it, that type of thing. Yeah, my way or the highway. I grew up, kind of like the old school way, and my parenting styles with my own children have kind of, are the same way. It's either my way or the highway, you do what I say, no ifs, ands, or buts. And I've noticed with my own children that my daughter is 6 and she's to the age where she's starting to power struggle me. So being more open-minded. And my strengths, I do feel like I have a lot of empathy. I do feel like I'm sympathetic to situations and people, and sometimes, depending on the situation, I may feel deeply for you. I feel like I do have a lot of understanding sometimes when I can get to the point to where I'm more open-minded about, where I can be more open-minded about something. Activities to build strengths. I mean, I didn't really know an activity other than, I guess, to communicate within the child, to communicate, you know, I realize what the problem is.
That dialogue, okay.
Yeah, just kind of be like, you know, I realize what the problem is, this is where we're gonna try to go, that type of thing. And then I guess resources, maybe talking to other foster parents or other parents, seeing how maybe they do things. And then where I can approve, my attitude, because sometimes I may be, just may be that type of day. It just may be that type of day. And sometimes with children, they don't know that it's that type of day, and you just have to realize that you can't, just because you've had a bad day at work or a bad experience with somebody in public, you can't bring that home and lash out on the kids for it, so.
Good, good. The one thing to remember about goal setting, the long terms, the short term goals, is that they're going to change over time. You know, and a lot of times we don't have the opportunity to write them down, but we know what goals we are working on and what we need to do to get to that end state. So remember that your goals are going to change, and you're going to develop more goals, especially when you're dealing with the culture, ethnicity, individual identity with children. Because each child that comes to you is going to be different. Each child's going to be different. They're going to bring a different issues. I don't like to say problems, I like to say issues. And so you might have to set up different goals, long-term goals when that comes about. So again, just a tool that you can use to help you with the process of becoming more open, dealing with racial and ethnicity and stuff. Okay. The next thing we're going to talk about is something that everybody should be familiar with. It's called a life book. And hopefully this is not the first time you have heard of a life book. You know, a life book is a documentation or narrative of a child's life from birth to present. The focus of this child's feelings and understanding of a major life event through the interpretation of these events. The life book can serve as a vehicle for a child to explore their past history, providing them with concrete and visual reminders of who they are in the context of the world around them. They can be a very difficult process for many youths we serve and care. Due to their past experience, which are often significant for multiple losses, disruption in home settings, and in many cases, severe abuse, neglect, and maltreatment, youth may re-experience some of their trauma by disclosing their past and their past feelings. Therefore, it's always important to assess how a child's feelings and reacting to this type of activity by checking in with them regularly on a basis. And what we tell you to do is sit down with them and develop this life book with them. And again, what are some of the areas about the life book? You'll see what I brought here, and part of your homework assignment for when we meet next week is develop a life book with your child that's in your home. And I made it simple for you. This is a example of a life book. All you have to do is sit down with your child and fill in the blanks. And it says here, what is a life book? A life book is a recording of a child's life experience. It could be pictures, it could be documentation, it could be a picture of their mother, a picture of their father, a picture of their grandparents. Even could be a picture of the home that they lived in prior to coming to you. It will have in there, if they have multiple placements, it may have a picture of their prior foster family members. By using pictures, documents, photographs, writing, a child can begin to recapture his past and can begin to understand the present and can begin making plans for his and her future. That's the bottom line of a life book. Very simple. You will have this on your way out the door, a copy of this. Make sure that you just sit down with your child. And I don't expect for you to have it completed by the next time we meet, but just start working with your child on their life book. Thank you. All right. Summary and wrap up. As we have gone through session number 5 today, we talked about a lot of areas. Again, I just want to reiterate the key components of session number 5. Welcome diversity in the home. We talked about learn that individual identity includes racial, ethnic, and sexual, spiritual, and other components of identity. We talked about examine their individual identities and consider the role these have in their self-concepts and their interaction with others. We talked about learn about the impact of foster care placement on youth's ability to develop a unique and individual identity. And I think the film talked a lot about that sometimes when children come into foster care, they lose their identity. Like the young lady said, when she moved into a different home of a different race or different culture, she started adapting their identity. And sooner or later, she didn't know who she was. Another thing we talked about is determine and evaluate the strategies to help youth develop their individual identities. And then the last thing we talked about was goal setting. You know, long-term goals, short-term goals, and adjusting those goals as you go on being a foster parent. And this will help you develop working with children of various nationalities and varied races. You know, up here we talked about on the slide, the impact of foster care placement have on youth identity development, how awareness of own identity can improve our work with youth, how to respond to diversity in our home. You know, we talked about putting up pictures of the children. What you can do, various having meals of different cultures, having a day of what the child wants to do, looking out into the community and see if there's any activities out there that may help you with your process. Goal setting and then life books. The final activity in here is there are 3 questions, and it's on your 3-2-1 review page in your manual. And I think the first question is, describe 3 ways you think that being more culturally sensitive can improve your relationship with your youth you serve. The second question is, describe 2 ways that having a well-developed cultural, ethnic, and individual identity will help youth grow into a strong and stable adult. And name 1 action you will take to make your home more welcoming to the youth in your home, to make it more sensitive to their culture, ethnic, and individual identity. And I tell you, all 3 of those questions, we have talked about each one of those areas. Do y'all have that slide in front of you? Huh? Everybody should have that. You have that one? Mm-hmm. All right, just jot down just 1, 2 sentences or whatever. We'll take a few minutes on that. And while you're doing that, again, I want to remind you, you have 2 homework assignments. The first one is the life book, and then from session number 4, we had a homework assignment of home practice review. What behaviors did you address in your developing a behavior contract? So just remember, you got the life book and then developing a behavior contract are your 2 homework assignments. And we'll talk about each one of those when we meet next week. Who wants to talk about the first question? Describe 3 ways you think that being more cultural sensitive can improve your relationship with the youth and with the youth you serve. Who wants to talk about that one?
I think by being more culturally sensitive, it allows you to feel like that you care and they matter, that you're supportive of them and who they are and where they came.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Anybody else got anything else?
They feel like they can be themselves.
Feel like they can be themselves. Good. Good.
And make them more open to communicating.
Good. Because that's the biggest thing is that open dialogue and communicating with them. Good. Good example.
And I think it also builds trust, helps them to trust you.
Trust you, and if they start trusting you, then they can start doing what? Trusting others.
Exactly.
Right. Good, good. All right, the second one is describe 2 ways that having a well-developed culture, ethnic, and/or individual identity will help your youth grow into a strong and stable adult. We'll talk about this. What do you think?
She would know who she is
Who she is.
and will have that strong foundation.
That's it. that foundation.
of her
because-
background and where she came from, and will have a clear direction of where she's going.
Good, good. Anybody else?
I just said it helps to create a sense of belonging, that they're not just a foster child, but they belong, there's purpose.
Good, good. Anything else? Good, okay, good example. And then the last question is, name one action you will take to make your home more welcoming to youth in your home and to make it more sensitive to their culture, ethnic, or individual identity. What can you do in your home?
I said, once again, just being more open-minded, being open to new things, exploring new cultural, maybe their food, maybe their activities that they like to do, that kind of thing.
Good. You're gonna be an excellent parent. All right.
Open-minded and communication.
Right. What else there? Anybody else got anything else that you could do in your home? I think she hit on everything, you know. Maybe
Open-minded and communication.
welcoming your home, make it welcoming. Like you said, the food, putting, having a family night or something that they want to do. Those types of things there. Very simple. Again, the last thing we have to do, and it's evaluation. But before you do that evaluation, I just want to thank everybody for your participation. Hopefully you learned something by attending the session number 5 in diversity. Again, we will be going back over some of this the next time we meet, just to refresh you doing at the beginning of session number 6. But I think you guys did a very good job today. Again, thank you for your participation, and I enjoyed teaching the class. Adore?
No, that's pretty much it. We appreciate everybody coming out today, and giving good feedback. We hope that once you actually get home and start to work with some of this youth, that you're implementing these strategies, and be honest with your feedback from it, because that helps all of us with knowing whether these strategies are working or not. Okay?
All right.
All right.
And like I said, the last thing you're going to be doing is the evaluation of the training. Thank you very much. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.